Yeah, hi, good evening, folks. Wait for 2 minutes and then we'll give it. All right, folks, let's get started. Let me quickly share my screen. Can I get a quick confirmation that you all can see my screen? You hear me pretty well? All right. So just so far we had gone through with STLC where we talked about waterfall and agile. Then we went into and here we learned Jira. Then we went into learning business analysis. And there also we talked about a lot of techniques. And we learned QML. Okay, so we shown some other applications as well, right? Now we would be starting with but from the introduction perspective. So here we'll talk about what actually software testing is, what are the different why we need it, principles, what is quality, and difference between automation and manual. When we talk about software testing, this is where you can evaluate the functionality of your software application. Find out any defects, errors. Or how do you call it as bugs, right? Because here you will talk about well, because see, we all started with planning, requirement analysis, maintenance, right? Now in this, we know that here we get the requirement document. Okay. That requirement document is shared among design team, development team. And this is the team responsible for the development of our product application. Okay. So based on the same design, based on the same requirement documentation, design team is designing, development team is developing, and they will provide the application to the testing team. Now, testing team has to test the application. So testing team is going to test the same application based on to the same requirements only. And that's why they have the mention of the requirements here. And it will also check if there are any errors in the application. Because those errors, they will report to the development team, and development team will fix it. Why do we do it? So that we can verify and validate a software product. We'll check whether it is meeting the business and technical requirements. All these requirements have guided its design and development because the same requirements has been used, working as per the requirement, implemented with the same characteristics. So it's all about requirement. Why we need this? Because first it's going to make the overall process cost effective. Because testing is not just about testing the application, no. It is very important in the overall development of your application. It's going to make the overall cost effective. Because if you are testing on time, so the more early you will get, now you'll say that, okay, how we can get the bugs in the earlier stages, because if you are planning, if you're asking about getting the bugs, right? Bugs you will be able to find out if only if you have the application, because development team will provide you application, then only you will test, right? Before that, how you can apply testing? So it's not just about testing the application. You can even test the requirements, design. So they're just saying that you have to apply that verification strategy before itself, so that there should not be any issues later on. That is what it is all about. Putting your testing a bit early. That is what they say when they are talking about introducing testing a bit earlier. Security nowadays, yes, plays a very important role because for the security aspect as well, we need to check our application so that users can rely upon the reliability aspect of the application. Product quality will be there because product should work as it is planned. So whatever requirements, performance requirements, all of that will be gathered here as well. Performance testing will be there. So that it can be working as expected. And finally, our ultimate goal, customer satisfaction. Because we are doing testing right before the deployment or delivery. So we need to make sure that we are getting the best customer satisfaction. So that's why we are testing it so that we can get the best user experience possible for our clients. Now, there are some principles in software testing. You need not to mug up. These are already in practice. So you just need to have an understanding of what these are. So we have these 7 principles, which we would be discussing now. Okay, before we go, let me share this also with you, this document. Not only this, I'm sharing everything, whatever I have discussed. So yeah, I've shared everything in the chat. So you guys can also have a quick look onto that as well to see like, okay, where this is all about. So now what we have next is testing shows the presence of defects. That's how it is. So we talk about, see, even if you don't have these applications, no, it doesn't mean that you do not have that error. It is all about finding more and more and more defects up in here. That's how it is. Okay. Now, even if you don't see that, in this you will see the testing is going to show the presence of defects. So you might, you have done a lot of testing, but as soon as it goes on the client side, it might show errors, which is okay, which is fine. That is not a problem. Because testing is all about showing the defects. Exhaustive testing, not possible. Now, what do you mean by that? Now, exhaustive testing. What do you mean by exhaustive testing? Now, exhaustive testing is what? See, what happens now? Let's say you have an application. I'll take this example. Let's say the requirement is only you can enter a 3-digit. So let's say now if you go with that, there are two types of testing, positive and negative testing. Positive is what? If you test it for, see, because it is 3-digit, 100 to 99. So what happens here now? In this case, what you would see? You would see that you're testing for this. This is positive. But what if I need to test for less than 100 and more than 999? That is how it is. So this is all also you have to test. Now this is called exhaustive. You can't do that. Listen, but how would you test this? This will go till infinity. That is how it all works. So that you can't do practically. So what happens now? There are some techniques because if you will go with the, testing with each and every value, it's going to take like months. That's how it is. Because that's going to take a lot of efforts. And that too, it is of no use, right? So that's why exhaustive testing you don't do. But then you'll say that, okay, how would we, um, you know, get that done? So there are techniques which we'll discuss later. I'll show you what are those different techniques. Early testing is all about introducing the testing early. That is how it is. Okay. So you have to start that testing early. That is how it all goes. Okay. You have to introduce testing as early as possible in all those, so that more early you will get these, more good it will be. Defect clustering. Defect clustering is all about, let's say, for an example, 10 modules. Total, let's say there are 100 errors. So there is a Pareto principle which says they are saying 80, but I'm going to make it 70 to 80% and 20 to 30%. So you can say in this case, 2 to 3 modules will have 7 to 800 errors. And 7 to 8 modules will have only 2 to 300 errors. And that is how it all goes off. Check that here. Right? So that is Pareto principles. Pesticide paradox. Now, this is what that let's say if whatever tools you are using, you need to get sharpen your tools. Because if you use the same set of test cases again, again, and again, then what would happen is you'll not get the errors. So you have to get your tests get renewed. This is all about. That is how is it. Plus, testing is always context dependent, which means there are multiple domains available. And it has to be according to that domain. Because you can't test an e-commerce application just like a healthcare application and all that. Absence of errors fallacy. Even if you feel that there are no errors, in that case also, you will find out errors there. So absence of errors, it's not like that. You might feel that, okay, there are no errors, but still there could be errors that you would be able to see in the production. So that could be the case. So these are the 7 principles which are already in practice. That is what it is all about. So this is what we have about these principles. Now this is what we have in this, which I just wanted to have you an introduction to this. More onto that, we'll discuss on Monday now. And I had a word with them, so maybe they'll be uploading the recordings by today. Do we have any questions before we call it today?
No, Rajat.
All right, folks, then yeah, have a great weekend and we'll meet on Monday now. Bye, folks. Take care.